Does anybody know who Cornel West is? Yeah. You know?
Yeah, he's the African-American man. He's got a pretty cool set of hair.
He does?
Philosopher type guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. And he does religious studies and all kinds of things like that. And how that all fits into today's society at Princeton University. He's really a sharp guy. Well, I like this quote from him. Justice is what love looks like in public. And I had kept that on my bench from time to time in just a little thing to remind me that justice should look like love. That doesn't mean that everybody wins. Not everybody walks out of the courtroom a winner. And very often, people walk out and neither one of them feels like they were the winner because they didn't get everything they wanted. But if they got heard and they were dealt with, treated with respect, and if they learned something about the other perspective in this argument, hopefully it helps them heal. And that's what I hope for when we dispense justice. It's that ultimately there's going to be some healing down the road. Now, I was talking about campaigns, so I wanted to just close with a song. And this is just to let you know that sometimes campaigning gets so crazy and so out of control that you just have to keep your sense of humor. So I hope you think this is funny. I have often walked down this street before. I have to start again. I have never walked down this street before. Now I'm counting votes from folks I used to just ignore. All at once am I scared I'm going to die, seeking votes on the street where you live. People stop and stare. They think I'm insane. If they only knew the status that I seek to gain, all the power and all wearing robes of law lies with votes from the street where you live. And oh, the petrified feeling when I dream of bodily harm. I pray the sound that I'm hearing is not the ringing of my brand new car alarm. Please give me your votes on election day, and I promise you'll get justice thrown your general way. By the way, I'll take what you care to give as support from the street where you live. Do you have any questions other than that I'm a terrible singer? Yes?
Would you consider yourself a feminist?
Absolutely, without doubt. Can I tell you about the moment I knew I was a feminist? Okay, John will shudder. But this was back in the early 1970s. Were any of you born then? No. Anyway, my daughter was born. I was now the mother of a daughter, and I was teaching school, and I picked up a paperback book of one of the early 1960-70 feminists. Her name was Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan wrote a book about that thing that has no name. You know, it was like, I feel like there's something as a woman that just isn't quite settling with me. It isn't quite right with me. I'm unhappy. I'm not comfortable with the limitations in my life, but this thing has no name. And it was sexism. And she wrote this book, and I read it, and I was thinking, oh, yes, yes, yes. You know, I was just identifying with the whole book. And for the next several years, I started awakening to all of the sexism that was surrounding my life. None of it coming from my husband, but he felt like he experienced the blunt brute force of everything I felt. Didn't he? He did.
It's true.
He says those were a couple of rough years. I don't know. That's why I don't know why he stuck with me, because I was abusive to humankind, or mankind, shall we say. I would get up in the middle of sermons at church because they had translated the old King James Version to something that would be inclusive language where I felt they were also speaking to women. I'd just get up and walk out. You know, I was pretty mad for a while. So, yeah. And I would fight with the local newspaper who would print my name because I was teaching there, and they would print something, and they would always say, Mrs. John Nellermoe. And I thought, I've got a first name, you know, and it was their policy always to say Mrs. John Nellermoe. And I'd get mad at them, you know. So it was just, yes. So it woke me up, and, and that's how that was my little journey to become a feminist. And I started reading a lot more and thinking a lot more about it. And in the process, I think John was the original feminist. He was. He was the original feminist because he believed in women and he believed in me. Thank you.
I knew I liked him.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Would you like to comment like on the allegations that you, I guess, kind of make biased rulings in favor of women and less against men in civil suits?
Yeah, a couple of men walked out of my court and said that. And you know, when you walk out and you're not happy with what happened because your perspective is totally focused on what you want and you won't accept anything else, sometimes that happens. I just have to roll off it. I just throw those thoughts away because many, many, many days it's Father's Day in the 45th District Court. Fathers win custody. Fathers win more rights with their children. Fathers get reduced child support when it's warranted. I call those Father's Days, and those are very frequent. But I can think of 2 cases where, I mean, where a guy has really, really taken it seriously and put out websites against me and so forth. That's just all a part of this campaign stuff that you have to put up with. But it's there. He's filed grievances against me with the Judicial Commission. The Judicial Commission investigated it and dismissed it. Found no finding, so.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
What is like your view like on whether or not judges should be bipartisan or affiliated with a certain political party?
Well, my preference would be that we are all nonpartisan. We don't have that choice in Texas. In Texas, you have to choose one party or the other. So some candidates choose the party they see as having the most political weight in a particular community, whether they believe it or not. That's where they're going to go. And some will just say, I could never do that. I have to go with the party that I believe in and that I'm a member of. So, but we're forced into that uncomfortable position because the minute I walk into the courthouse, I have to put party politics aside. I serve with colleagues from both parties, and we have to get along. We have to work on rules and procedures and policies and make all kinds of decisions together, too. So it's real important that once the election's over, that we put that all back in storage. Good questions. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you.